Hello, and welcome back to another section of our series. I'm Leah Murphy. I am the CEO and founder of Career Gems for the Journey, and we have been talking for the last 2 or 3 lives about really like thoughtful, insightful. Some of this is personal, some of this stuff is, things that I've learned and developed for clients. But it's what I wish I knew early in career, what I wish I knew career wise, right? So there's the early in career part where we talked on some of that had to do with relationships and the community of people that you're building. And then we started talking a little bit more about those 3% increases as we talk about performance evaluations. So now here we are ready to get into the next group of content, which I'm super excited about. But before I jump too far, because you guys know I like to live in my authentic truth, I get so excited in creating just purposeful content for those who are looking to grow in their career. Because here at Career Gems for the Journey, we help professionals build thriving careers. So there's so many new things that are kind of happening in the background, and we are continuing to bring great content to this platform on LinkedIn Live. But you can also find us on our YouTube channel under Career Gems for the Journey. And then the Career Gems for the Journey podcast has just been rolling along kind of in the background. And it is something that I am super passionate about. And it has been this amazing repository of just wonderful career advice and guidance. And I bring on experts and other professionals and other business owners and other coaches, just really great treasure trove of information. So if you've never gotten to hit us up there, definitely find us on Gems on at Career Gems for the Journey. And you can find us on podcasts, like linking to Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on the Gems for the Journey website, gemsforthejourney.org, and you can listen to the podcast there. So, got to get my housekeeping out of the way because once I get moving in this, it's going to get good. It's going to get really juicy. So, if anybody is joining me live, please do drop your city in the chat so that I can shout you out, kind of acknowledge who's with us live. And if you are joining us on the replay, I love that for you. I love that for me also. The replay allows you to fast forward, kind of pause, think about some things, take a quick note. This is one you're definitely going to want to share. So maybe you've been with me for a little while and this has been a great experience. And this is going to be the one that you're like, okay, I got to send this to my work bestie. I got to send it to my homie. Like he's been talking about what he's trying to figure out at this career point, and I want to make sure I give him great resources. This is one you're definitely going to want to share. So I'm going to make sure that folks on the replay, I'll repost it on my LinkedIn page, but you can always get access to the LinkedIn live replay just 24 hours after we do the recording. So it looks like Lisa's here from Dallas. Welcome back, Lisa. Great to have you with us live. Lisa's been riding with us for a while, so I love when our OGs come back to participate in the lives. So really excited to get into this. If anybody else is joining me live, please do go ahead and drop your city in the chat and I'll make sure to catch you up and shout you out. So this week we're going to talk about, we're getting into the mid-career range. So we talked about this series being like 0 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years. Then you talk about 8 to kind of that 15-year mark, right? Which is a bigger range, but it tends to be one of that kind of mid-year where folks are getting into either subject matter experts, right, in an individual contributor role, or if you're leading people, you're in that manager, senior manager, maybe even, director, executive director role. So there's a big gap there, and it's a pretty big slog of folks who fall into that group, and that really is the people that are most often consuming this content. So I'm so excited to talk to you all. That's why I said this is one you're going to definitely want to share. In the next session, we're going to go even a step further, right? So we have 2 more parts of this series, and then we're going to transition into the next thing, which I'll talk to you guys about the next time we're all together. But there are 2 really major gems that I need you all to take advantage of. And when you're thinking about that mid-year career window, now people may say it's 10 years to 17 years. It could be any range of things, but you have some experience under your belt. You've been doing a job for a period of time. You've gotten some really great value that you can bring to the organization. You have some expertise. You're in a position where you have some leverage, right? you and your employer are in a mutually beneficial relationship. They benefit from your skills and expertise, leadership, whatever you bring to the table, and you're benefiting because you're continuing to leverage their brand. You're continuing to get paid appropriately and compensated well, and you're also, continuing to take advantage of the resources that they have at your disposal for you to grow your career and for you to grow your own personal brand. So the 2 points that I have, and I'm looking at my notes here because I want to make sure that I say them exactly the way we intended here as my team and I prep them. But number one, that midway slog, that 8 years to around 15 years, I want folks to really take advantage of this opportunity to really perceive these as money-making years. These are the money-making years where ultimately, oftentimes, you have a lot of value to be able to bring to the organization. And you also have some more flexibility where you're not so senior in the organization where getting promoted or taking a cross-functional role can be a slowdown for your career. It'll actually benefit you. So I want to say that again. You're not so senior that you can't continue to take cross-functional roles and take unique projects or experiences that help you build out a more robust career. When I say that taking cross-functional roles and taking projects within your organization that are unique and special, going to give you a special skill set, this is absolutely the time to do that, take advantage of those kinds of opportunities. And let me just tell you why. The why is because as these are your money-making years, you want to make sure that your robust experience continues to grow, but you also want to make sure that your visibility remains high. So it remains high internal to your organization and external to your organization. So I always like to make sure that I'm telling folks to play it on both sides, because ultimately in your career, you're a free agent. And you want to make sure as a free agent, you have the opportunity to partner in mutually beneficial relationships with companies or organizations that are going to also give you what you're looking for. And for a lot of us, this is the opportunity to be able to make more money. I can talk specifically about experiences from clients that I've worked with who have gone in organizations right at that 8 to 10 year mark, spent 2 to 3 years in that organization, left that organization and joined another company and got a 25-30% increase. Now, the market that we're in now is a unique one where there's a lot of shifts and shrinking that's happening in different sectors in the market, but there still is this great potential for you to take advantage of the opportunity of really making a transition to be able to make more money. If you're a valuable asset, it's always something you should be thinking about as a free agent. Now, it might not always be convenient for you to do it from your personal life standpoint or from, you're in graduate school or because you're not ready to relocate. There are lots of reasons why you may not want to make a transition to a new organization, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be exposing yourself to other organizations and making sure that if the right opportunity presents itself, if you want to take it, that you can take it. But if you're not growing your external exposure, it's almost impossible for anybody to find you. And then how would they know that you're open to the next opportunity? So that external exposure is so very, very, very important. And I gave a couple of examples in a previous LinkedIn Live about how do you seek out those external examples for your own personal branding. Before I jump into that, I want to give you guys a little bit of a hack. If you're saying, okay, I work in an organization and maybe I work in healthcare right now. And as I work in healthcare, I don't really understand how to make a jump that would get me additional compensation. The thing that I always try to give guidance on for clients who are at that stage in their career and looking to make a pivot or a transition is think about all the adjacencies to what you do. So if you work in healthcare, likely there are tech and labs that are collaborating with your company, that knows your company's brand really well, and that would easily be able to understand the value you can bring to their organization. So I like to talk about adjacencies, companies that your company may work with, may collaborate with, may provide staffing services to your company, may provide other kind of relationships, procurement relationships to your organization. It can really get rich. If you think about where are the adjacencies that already exist to the industry that I'm in, so that I don't have to work too hard to be able to explain to this new organization what kind of value I can bring to the organization, because they already know the kind of work that I do. They're generally familiar with it. And the biggest hack that I've seen go really well when folks are thinking about making a jump is look at a competitor. If you work for a large healthcare institution, just going back with that example, look at your competitor, your first head-to-head competitor, and see what opportunities that they have open, or begin to build a relationship with that organization, right? I'm not encouraging anyone to do anything that is nefarious or do anything that is unethical. I'm not encouraging you to share sensitive information. No. What I am encouraging you to do is think about where you are and where the transition could be for you based on the adjacencies that already exist, or your competitor really sincerely understanding you could be a game changer in their organization because you already know their business because they know yours. So I really try to encourage folks to think about it at that 8 to 15 year mark. These are really core money making years. And as you think about building wealth for yourself and bringing that into your household and community, one of the ways to be able to do that is to make sure you feel like your free agency is beneficial for you. Because ultimately, the goal of focusing on being loyal to one organization is something that baby boomers and previous generations had the benefit of taking advantage of. But the facts are the facts. Organizations change, things shrink, things grow. So you may have to leave the organization on your own choice, or you may have to leave the organization as a result of someone else's choice, due to restructure, due to acquisition, due to downsizing. All of these things happen all the time in companies. So I really try to encourage folks to take their career into their own hands, to think about this range as a great money-making opportunity for you to transition into another organization and get a significant increase in your compensation. You might be able to get a significant increase in your title also, especially if you go to a competitor. So there's some real strategies that I can get deeper into. And there's some podcast episodes that I've already kind of gone into that detail for. Would love for you guys to head over to the Career Gems for the Journey podcast to take full advantage of them. I also was having some great discussions in my one-on-ones / my exclusive members only program around thinking through what does career strategy look like at that point in time. A lot of times it's either, it's kind of that midway crunch. So, there's senior people up above you that are having expectations, and then there are people beneath you on the org chart, right? Not in life, but beneath you on the org chart. And you're trying to figure out, how do you differentiate yourself to make sure that you continue to get opportunities? And we went really, really deep into that. So for folks who are looking to learn more, there's great podcast episodes that already exist. Or if you're interested in joining my members only community, go ahead and drop me a DM and I can send you information in order to participate in those. But the conversations are really, really rich. The second gem that I want to make sure that you think about at that career transition mark, at that 8 to 15 years, or that mid-range for your career, because most careers are going to evolve, right, in a way that, you may have started in one place and it looks completely different from what you originally imagined. And this gem is one that focuses on that external visibility as well as your internal visibility. And it's really about standing out. Standing out in your career, in your organization, does a few things for you. But I think I had an epiphany about this probably at this 8 to 10 year mark. I had felt very much the need to blend in the organization and to kind of go with the flow, to make sure that I built relationship with people and that I wasn't ruffling any feathers. And that helps in certain ways. But in other ways, it also allows you to kind of fall victim to being one of the masses. So I really want to encourage folks to think about it as, be your most authentic self, where your most authentic self will be celebrated. But that means personal style. Do what feels good, stand out. You guys will probably notice that I am fully embracing gray hair at this stage in my life, right? So this is something that I wanted to enhance and kind of even step it up a little bit further. So now I'm like, okay, well, this is what we're doing. This is a personal style choice for me. Certainly doesn't offend anybody else. I like big earrings. I like a bold lip. I like to look a certain way when I go to work. I liked to dress up when I had to go to the office as opposed to dressing casual. So there's a personal style element to it. But for folks who are like, yeah, I kind of got that already done, you know, what's new there? I like to think about standing out in other ways. So stand out as far as when you're in a town hall or a really large forum and they ask folks, are there any questions? Does anyone have any, feedback they want to provide? That's a great opportunity to stand out. It's a great opportunity to ask a thoughtful question and grab the attention of those who are decision makers in the room, because ultimately there are other people who definitely have questions, but most of us, may have a hard time speaking up or feeling like we want to take up that kind of space in the moment. I know I've heard that from a lot of folks who are introverts, that asking questions in large forums just doesn't work for them. So that's one way, if you feel like you're someone who's more extroverted, to go ahead and go the extra mile to stand out. Research the speaker, do research on the topic maybe that they're speaking about, or genuinely you have a question based on something that they shared and you want to make sure that that question gets answered because others have a similar question. That's a way to stand out. Another way to stand out is to really focus on curating your external brand, curating how you show up on LinkedIn, curating how you show up on internal communications platforms. Maybe you post quick wins for your team. Maybe you post success stories. Maybe you post, a project that got completed. Maybe that's on LinkedIn or maybe that's on internal platforms. I've seen, companies having lots of things in intranets, and there's all kinds of channels and tools that are internal. And that can be a real differentiator. Even if it's not that you're talking just about yourself, you may be talking about your teammates. You may be talking about, cross-functional teams that you've collaborated with. You're just giving credit when credit's due. That is a way to stand out, right? That's something that people don't necessarily put the extra effort to go the extra mile to do. So I know that this requires some, carving out of time. And when you're working on a day-to-day basis and you already have a full plate, some of this stuff feels like, man, this is just more work on top of work I already have. And you're absolutely right. These kinds of strategic, intentional actions do take some thoughtfulness. It does take some time, but it will pay you dividends. If you're not thinking about investing in yourself and in investing in the way you show up in your workplace because you're trying to hit cruise control, you're trying to chill, I'm here for it. That's what you want to do. That's what makes sense for you. I have no objection to it. But I'm really speaking to folks who are at that mid-year and still trying to push forward and define success for themselves and look for opportunities to bring more compensation and more levers that they can pull with their employer to help them make additional compensation, right? So going back to the original topic, which was these are your money-making years. So making a transition to another organization can be really financially fruitful, but also getting additional compensation, negotiating for additional compensation with your current employer. It's possible more in this mid-season when you know what you bring to the organization and you have the flexibility to transition out, right? They want to keep you. There's a value to what you bring to the table. So negotiate for additional compensation. These are your money-making years. Make the transition when it makes sense. And when we talked about from the top, thinking about your money making years and thinking about, do you want to stay in your organization to negotiate for extra compensation? Are you looking to transition out to another organization to really bring up compensation, bring up broader exposure, get new experiences? And when you're doing that, are you thinking about adjacencies, other organizations and functions that you worked with and collaborated with, or direct competitors to your current organization? Because those are the places that are going to be the most fruitful discussions, because it's one of those, okay, we recognize we're on the same page. And then the second gem, and I'm going to close out for you guys here. Second gem is focus on building your personal brand. And that's internal personal brand and external personal brand. The internal side, we talked about, your personal style choices. We talked about posting things on intranet sources, whether it's acknowledging your team, giving credit when credit's due, giving other people shout outs and job well done, can be such a game changer in the way that you're perceived in the organization, and certainly will draw other people to you and raise your awareness internally. The way to raise your awareness externally is, operating on platforms in a consistent manner, right? LinkedIn is one of those platforms. There are a number of other platforms where you can collaborate and work with folks. I spent a lot of time at the peak of the pandemic where I was just working and meeting new people on LinkedIn as a platform, but also, on other platforms. And it was like, oh, wow, there's all these things that are happening, right? Not to go into detail or market for the other platforms, but there are lots of tools and resources that are out there that we can take advantage of. And I just want to make sure that we are doing that. So I'll give you one that has, shifted significantly. And for me, it was Clubhouse. There were lots of people I met and were able to build collaborations with and learn a lot from on Clubhouse. And those connections then carried me into the next phase where I was thinking about writing a book and getting insider information from other best-selling authors. That's how you build an external brand, right? That's how you build your personal brand, because you're on these platforms and you're showing up in these ways. The other ways, and I did a post on this recently, so I wonder if anybody has seen the post yet. If not, jump back once you get off of this live to look at the post around thinking about professional organizations to build your personal brands. And I called out some of my fave professional organizations, and I always love to. The one is the National Society of Black Engineers. That one works for me because I'm an engineer by trade. Think about whatever it is that is your discipline, whether you're a marketer, whether you're a scientist, whether you're a sales professional, whether you are a procurement professional. There's always a professional organization tied to your field. As you grow in your career, building relationships through professional organizations is a great way to build your external brand and also to kind of get an ear to the ground for what's happening outside of your organization. What's new in trends, who may be hiring, who's doing big things, and you want to make sure you stay informed. So professional organizations can be an amazing, amazing hack as you're thinking about building your external brand and seeking out new opportunities. So one of my faves is National Society for Black Engineers. I mentioned I love the National Black MBA Association. They actually just had their national conference right here in Philadelphia, in my hometown. So shout out to them. They've always done excellent work. I've gotten to collaborate with them before. I've heard really good things about a number of organizations, about EVE, which is, for women who are working in e-commerce. I've heard about AMA, the American Marketing Association, being a great tool and resource. There are lots of great professional organizations that are out there that can help you build your external brand. I also think about organizations that are not tied specifically to your discipline and what your area of study is, but organizations like the Forum for Executive Women or Chamber of Commerce, right? The Philadelphia, Delaware, New Jersey Chamber of Commerce, or whatever Chamber of Commerce is in your region. These are great opportunities to be able to build your external brand, build your relationship, and collaborate with organizations that are going to help you to grow, but also help you to keep your ear to the ground for what's happening as you think about leveraging your value to be able to bring new compensation into your household. So those are the two gems. These are your money-making years. Don't let that pass you by. Don't miss an opportunity to maximize what you could do, making the resources that you want to make. And you can do that if you stay inside of your organization, but you can also do that if you decide to leave your organization. You are a free agent, and I really encourage you to think about taking the responsibility to make the decision for your career yourself and employ some of these strategies. We go way, way deeper in our private members only group. So you want to know more about that, you can definitely hit me up. And we will be back here next Tuesday. And every Tuesday for a while, I have some surprises coming up for you guys. So we'll be back here next Tuesday at 2:00 Eastern Standard Time on LinkedIn Live. You can also find us on the Career Gems for the Journey podcast. And you can find us on our YouTube channel under Career Gems for the Journey. So what you see on the screen here, I always get my hand wrong, is an opportunity to be able to grab a copy of my book, Salary Power Moves, Winning the Compensation Negotiation. I just talked to you guys about salary making strategies. If you want more and you want to go in depth, you can scan that QR code. It'll take you directly to be able to grab a copy, and you can take advantage of those strategies, immediately. It is a digital resource. It's an ebook that you can use right away to start planning your next compensation negotiation strategy. And I want that for you. I love that for you. So this is the episode you definitely want to share. Tag some folks in on this conversation or share this link on the replay with some folks, because this is really, I know a lot of folks are in need of this kind of these insights and this kind of content. And if you bring this content to them and they're looking to really game change, staying with me for the next 2 parts of the series, you're not going to want to miss this. So this is amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining me live today. I look forward to checking with you on the next time we're together, next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Take care, all.